Hello and welcome to Introduction to Human Services. My name is Liz Ball. I use she, her pronouns, and I will be your instructor for this course. I will give you a little bit more information about myself at the end of this video, but in case anyone were to watch the first half of this video and then get bored and want to move on, I do want to include just a few things about grading and turning assignments in at the beginning, again, just to make sure they don't get missed. It is your responsibility to read and be familiar with the syllabus, where you will see most of the information I'm going to mention. However, I know sometimes people appreciate having information delivered in different ways, so I wanted to include it here as well. The first point I want to make is my grading expectations around discussion boards. I have found that being a bit more strict around the timeliness of discussion boards is really beneficial, and so I am not likely to give extensions on discussion boards. That being said, if things are coming up, things are happening that are very much outside of the realm of normal, you're sick, something happens, please feel free to come to me and let me know. Of course, life doesn't stop just because you're taking this class with me, and I totally get that. But if things are just being forgotten, if you read the due date wrong, things like that, those aren't reasons that I'm going to be granting extensions for the discussion board, because I really want us to all try to be in that space together. We obviously don't have a classroom where we can sit and have a live discussion, so trying to focus all of us on the same information at the same time is a little more challenging. And the way that I found it is easiest to do that is to try to contain a discussion to a given week. That way you are actively posting, getting responses from me, responses from your classmates, and we're all sort of in it together as much as we can be. The discussion boards for this course might look a little bit different than what you're used to. The last time I taught this course, I did find that some of the prompts led to just sort of a regurgitation of information and me seeing a lot of the same information in post after post after post. And I think that gets boring for me, that gets boring for you. And I would really like us to try something a little different to help us all think a little bit more critically, as opposed to just parroting information back. So you will see me asking a lot more of your opinions, a lot more of your impressions, and likely just a slightly different style of discussion post, both in your primary post and in what I'm asking you to respond to your classmates. Again, I've seen enough responses that are just compliments, which is very nice, but isn't really what I'm looking for. And so I do really want us to use those critical thinking skills. I think there's a lot of interesting information in this course, and I think all of you have lots of interesting things to say. So I will be giving you a bit more guidance on how I want you responding to your classmates. If we get a few weeks in and this isn't working and it feels weird, please feel free to let me know. I'm very open to feedback, and I'm trying things differently this quarter. So I do want to hear from you if it's confusing, if it doesn't feel like it's going well. Please feel free to send me a message and let me know. The second big point I want to make about kind of grading and assignments is the mini project module. You'll see this as you're going through the beginning of the course, and you'll note that everything about the mini projects, which are your next biggest pile of points for this course, live in the same place. The instructions, the places where you turn those projects in, everything about the mini projects lives in that module. You will not find the pages to turn those projects in embedded in the week where they're due. You will find them in that mini projects module. I'm saying this now because I don't want people scrambling 20 minutes before an assignment is due. I will have little alerts pop up to remind you about the mini projects, but it is your responsibility to remember when they're due and to be ready to turn them in. I would say well in advance of the due date, but I also remember being in school, and I know that sometimes you're turning it in 5 minutes before it's due, and I don't want people scrambling to try to remember where to do that. I have historically included discussion boards along with those mini projects, and I've opted not to do that this quarter because we just had too many due dates stacking up on top of each other. We're going to try that out and see how it goes, and hopefully that will feel like a nice little break for everyone. Those mini projects are due one in the end of April, one in the middle of May, and one in the beginning of June. Again, I will have those pop-up alerts for you, but I encourage all of you to make notes on your own and however you organize your information so that you don't forget about them, because again, they won't be mentioned in the week where they're due, and I don't want you to forget to do them. There is no final exam in this class. There will be the third and final quiz in our last week, but it's not anything bigger and scarier than the other quizzes that you'll see throughout the quarter. You'll also notice that there are practice quizzes embedded in each week. You do not have to do those. Those are optional and something that some students last quarter requested that I keep in the course. Again, they're optional. Take them as you want, but those weekly quizzes will not be going towards your grade. Just a few little things about me before I wrap this up and let you get on with reviewing the course. Like I said before, my name is Liz. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and have been for about the last 11 years. I currently work on the inpatient rehabilitation medicine unit at Seattle Children's Hospital and have worked at that hospital in various roles for about the last 8 years. Prior to that, I worked in municipal mental health court here in Seattle and at a child welfare agency in New York, where I did my college and grad school. I would say the majority of my experience is in healthcare, which is very interesting, and as we'll discuss later, does result in me interacting with a lot of different systems. But that being said, I know it's not going to be the main thing that everyone in this course is interested in. I do have a pretty large network of coworkers, friends in this field who do a lot of different things. So if people have questions about different kinds of human services work that you don't think I would know the answer to, or don't seem to be getting answered by the context that I'm providing, please feel free to let me know, and I'm happy to reach out to people that I know and see if they might know the answer, because I know everyone's interests are really different. And if there are things you need and want to know before you continue on in this field, I'd love to try to get that information for you. I will include little mini lectures like this, much more focused on content than just kind of general housekeeping, in the majority of the weeks in this course. I believe maybe weeks 1 and 2 don't have a lecture, but then after that, every week we'll have a lecture. I highly encourage you to watch those lectures. They will typically be me just clarifying things that I think either aren't clear or aren't covered in the textbook, maybe providing some context based on my own experience, and just giving some additional information as I see fit. What I talk about in videos won't typically be included on quizzes and things like that. That's really going to be drawn from the written material. So if you have to skip something in order to keep up with everything, I think these might be the thing to skip. But I do try to include what I think is valuable information. On that note, I think I will just go ahead and stop talking and let you all move on to the next section. I look forward to moving through this material with you, and we'll see you in the next discussion board.